this is my first official review of my first Ultrasabre's lightsaber. I am incredibly pleased with it. I was actually having some doubts as to what kind of saber I would get, being a first-time customer. But this is my first review, and so please forgive me for any repetition or anything like that. But I am Barium Dose on the forum, and I bought the Archon version 2.1 saber. Some of you would probably recognize it. Don't mind the pack of cards that I have on this table. It's just to keep the saber from rolling off my computer desk. It's very slippery and very round, as you can see. So the Archon version 2.1 is the one that I bought with all the bells and whistles. I did a lot of research on the forum, looking at different sabers, looking at the comments from people regarding the sabers. I looked at a ton of YouTube videos showing the different saber colors and the options that could be installed, such as the Emerald LED driver and the Obsidian soundboard. And I decided to take the plunge and go in and get the saber with all the bells and whistles. And I picked the Archon version 2.1 because, I don't know, there's something about it. When I look at it, to me it looks like what I would think a lightsaber should look like. Plus, I would really like the way the emitter was designed. It kind of reminded me vaguely of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber emitter from the Return of the Jedi, and I just like the shininess of the saber, as well as the dark groove patterns right here. It could go either way. I mean, I'm either, sometimes I feel like a Jedi, and sometimes I feel like a Sith Lord. So I like looking at this saber because I think it's a saber that could go either way, depending on what kind of blade color you want to put into it. It could be a Jedi lightsaber, it could be a Sith lightsaber. So, you can have it your way, as Emery would say. But anyway, so let me go through some of the parts of this saber, just to give you an idea. All the parts, the emitter right here, or excuse me, that's actually the shroud, but the emitter is this part here, this black part, and the pommel are all MHS compatible, so you can swap it out. If you don't like the pommel or the emitter, you can buy pommels and emitters at Ultrasabrs and put in the emitter or pommel that you like. I also bought the Overlord emitter, so I've been swapping it out every now and then, depending on how I feel. I love windows on my emitters, so sometimes I feel like I want some windows, so I can take out the shroud and emitter and put in the Overlord emitter. So, like I said, it has the Emerald LED driver, which, guys, if you can afford it, by all means put it in, because sometimes you change your mind about what kind of blade color you want. The Emerald driver will let you change the color. The awesome technology with the Emerald driver is that you can also change the idle pulse time interval, so you can shorten it or lengthen it. And what I've done with it is shorten the interval so that the secondary color that I put in there, which is green, I've shortened it, the transition, to the point where it allows a kind of shimmering effect when I turn on the saber, which I'll do in a few minutes. And to me, it gives that kind of authenticity to the blade when it's ignited, so that it kind of looks like how the lightsabers looked in the original trilogy movies, as well as the prequels. The other reason I picked green, I'll show you in a minute, is I hooked up the anti-vandal switch here that I also bought for the saber. It's actually connected in series with the channel 2, which is the green LED, so that when there's a little bit of energy going into the green LED and I ignite my saber, this anti-vandal switch will illuminate. I actually picked the red anti-vandal switch, illuminated anti-vandal switch, because I was feeling kind of Sithy that day when I put the order. I figured, well, a red anti-vandal switch makes sense. So every time I turn on the lightsaber, this anti-vandal switch will actually light up, and then you can see it. The other reason that I recommend, if you have the money to get the Emerald driver, is that when you set up your flash on clash, you can change the colors of your flash on clash, so you can have any kind of color you want for when you're striking with your blade against something. It'll flash a different color. You can also change the number of flashes and how rapidly it flashes. So when it clashes, when you strike something, you can actually have like a kind of lightning effect, like you see in the movies, when, for instance, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader are dueling, either in the original trilogy, or when Obi-Wan is fighting Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith, and they lock their lightsabers. You can actually generate a kind of almost lightning effect with the Emerald driver software. So that's enough about that. Let's see. Again, I mentioned. So the other bell and whistle I put in was the Obsidian soundboard, which I'm sure all you guys are familiar with, but I'll go over it a little bit. With the Obsidian soundboard and the Obsidian software, which you can download from the Ultrasabr's website, as well as, I should also mention, the Emerald driver software you can also download from the Ultrasabr's website. But the Obsidian soundboard is awesome. The sound is amazing. It's like when you turn the saber on, it's incredibly loud. I mean, it's like how a lightsaber should sound like. I mean, but with the Obsidian software, if you don't like the default sound fonts that come with your saber when you order it, you can swap it out. There's lots of sound fonts, lots of great sound fonts that have been that the fans have created, that are free to download from the saberforums.com website. You can also download the free sound fonts from the ultrasabers.com website. So that if, say, you're feeling, sometimes you feel like a Sith, so you might want to change the way your lightsaber hums to give it a more sinister kind of humming sound, or maybe the swing sounds when you're swinging the lightsaber, you want something different. I've put in a medley of different swing sounds, clashing sounds from a variety of different sound fonts created by the fans, just to kind of change it up, give some variety when I'm dueling with my lightsaber. But for instance, the other lightsaber that I bought, which is the Dominic's version 3 LE3, which you see over there in the corner, which is actually charging right now. I actually wanted that to be more Sithy. God, there seems to be a pattern here. I seem to do a lot of Sithy kind of references. But this lightsaber over here, I downloaded into its sound card Darth Vader's breathing sound. So when I ignite the Dominic's, it actually, when it's in idle mode, it actually has Darth Vader breathing, and it is really actually kind of sinister. It feels Like, it sounds like this lightsaber is actually alive in a kind of very evil, sinister kind of way. So anyway, but that's the Dominix LE3. More on that in another video. But back to the Archon version 2.1. So there's the Obsidian soundboard, which I mentioned. I mentioned the AV strip switch. These all cost extra. Again, extra bell and whistle, but definitely well worth it if you can afford it. I also had them install the CoverTech wheel so that I can hang, and also got the CoverTech clip so that I can hang it on my belt. So when I go to Comic-Con or do cosplay, so it looks pretty cool. And then the blade that I got a heavy grade. A regular heavy grade blade, so you can see it's kind of shiny, not the Ultra Edge heavy grade blade, because again, I was feeling Sithy and I wanted a more of a reddish kind of blade color. So I heard that from the forums, I heard that the regular blades are really good for warmer colors like the reds and the oranges, yellows. So maybe later I'll get an Ultra Edge blade, just if I feel like a Jedi and I want to do more like blue, like a Guardian blue or a Consular green. I really like those colors too. And I've heard that the Ultra Edge blades are better for those types of colors. So the color that I installed for the base color that I installed for the Archon is the Bane's Heart, which is a magenta color. I really fell in love with that color. I'll show you that in a minute. And for the Flash on Clash color, I just decided because I like the lightning effect, I just did the Atigan Silver, which is basically all of the red, the green, and the blue combined together, and just to try something different, I also added in the white LED with the Atigan Silver, which when it clashes, I think it really brightens up everything. It's like a true lightning effect, in my opinion. So I've done that. And one other thing I had them install, which I highly recommend for all you guys who don't want to mess with, unscrewing the pommel and taking out your batteries to recharge in the Trustfire recharger, is if you can afford it, I highly recommend having the guys install a recharge port. It makes it so much easier to recharge. I have my sabers for instance, like the Dominix, that's just recharging in the corner. You can see the cord there, and it also has a recharge port, and you just plug it into your outlet right down there. You see it amidst my junk, and it just makes it a whole lot easier instead of messing with yanking out your batteries and stuff. I try not to go into the guts of this thing as much as little as possible. I really don't like. I get chills and like nervous chills when I have to yank out, or I shouldn't say yank, but gently pull out the Obsidian soundboard and Emerald driver to do modifications. I really don't like doing that. I always feel like I'm gonna pull it too hard and yank out the wires, and then I mess up my lightsaber. So without further ado, I'm sorry for the verbosity. It is my first. Please forgive me. This is my first review, and I just wanted to cover as much as I can, all the details, because again, if this is your first time, visiting the Ultrasabr site, and first time, you're a newbie at, purchasing lightsabers, I just want to give you guys as much information as I can without overwhelming you guys. But anyway, without further ado, I'm going to actually ignite this thing just to show you the amazing sound and the amazing colors. So let me draw the drapes, because it actually looks better when it's a little bit darker in my room here. Sorry about that. Let me draw this drape. Oh, man. Okay, so it's a little bit darker in here, and I'm gonna turn it on, and it's a little bit red in here because I got red drapes, so like the sun light's filtering through. Okay, here we go. This is, I don't know if you can see this, but this is actually the color is actually the Bane's heart. You might be able to see it against the wall here. And if you look at the blade against the table, you can actually see it shimmering. And this is, again, your eyes are slower to register this, but it's actually changing color from the Bane's heart color, which is the magenta, to the slightly green color that I installed. But the transition time is so short that our eyes perceive it as a shimmering effect. And I did this so to make the blade look more authentic to the movies, how the blades seem to shimmer like as if they're alive. The other reason I used green as my transitional color, or the idle pulse color, is that I had hooked up my Illuminate AV switch in series with the channel 2, which is the green. By mistake, I thought channel 2 was red, and I thought, well, since this blade is typically going to be a red blade, it would always illuminate because I would have red in it. And no, actually, I have to have a little green now because I made that mistake. So that's why the AV switch is illuminated. And again, you can probably hear the sound coming from this. It's incredibly loud. Actually, let me show you some of the other sound here from the clashes. These are the swing sounds, and now some clash effects. Oh yes, I also installed some blaster blocks, blocking the blaster bolts. And you can see the flash on clash color is the Archon silver plus the white LED, and I thought, as long as I don't have any people with epilepsy, I think it's pretty safe to try this, to put this on. But it is pretty bright, you can see. It's like lightning, basically. Now, and then the lockup effect, which is if you hit your AV switch again. Oh, here's a surprise. Maybe you can hear it. This is one of the lockup sound fonts I installed.
Don't make me destroy you.
And that was the others. I decided to have some fun and decided to download Darth Vader's, one of Darth Vader's signature quotes here. And I think I put in like 3 or 4 different lockup sound effects so that, just to switch it up a little bit. And now for the power off sound. And this was the power on. Oh, something I didn't show you is that when the blade clashes, and I have the Archon silver come up like that, because there's more power going to the green LED driver, the channel 2, you'll notice that my AV switch will actually light up. You might be able to see this, but it'll actually light up even brighter. A little bit, you can just see it. And that's just because there's more power going to channel 2. So it's kind of a nice little perk, as Emery would say, because it would make sense, from I guess from a cosplay perspective, that if I'm dueling, if I'm clashing with someone, there's like more power, or the lightsaber is struggling to put more power into the blade. It's kind of a nice perk. Okay, I better shut this down because it's like really loud. Ugh. But yeah, I cannot tell you how I'm like, when I first got this blade, the first day or two, I was just nerding out. I mean, I was spending, I, I kid you not, the very first night, I probably spent 5 hours just messing around with, different, installing different sound fonts with the Obsidian soundboard, and also messing around with the Emerald LED driver, and trying out all different colors I can do. I was literally a kid in a candy store, or maybe I should say a kid in a lightsaber store. Um, I, I, I remember it was like a work night too, and I stayed up till like a quarter to 3 a.m. in the morning just because I was just having so much fun, just trying out all these different colors, you know, turning on the lightsaber, turning it off, hitting things with it. I think my neighbors thought I was like murdering someone or whatever. Um, it's just cool, guys. I can't tell you no. It is just amazing just to have your own lightsaber. I mean, I'll tell you a funny story that happened. My friend heard about me getting the lightsaber, and he's like, "Oh God, dude, you gotta show me this lightsaber." So I bring the Archon v.2.1, and then I also brought the Dominic's over there, and I get into the elevator of my building, and I'm riding the elevator down, and there's this woman there who is, this elderly woman, and she sees me come on the elevator with these two sabers. She looks at me, and she looks at the sabers, and she says, those two poles you have, they look like lightsabers from the movie Star Wars. And then I look at her with kind of like a little sinister grin, and I said, as a matter of fact, and then I pull up the Archon, and I turn it on, and she's like, whoa, that's amazing! That's so cool! And so we spent like another 10 minutes talking, and she's telling me about her son and how he's 20 years old and he loves the movies. He always wanted to have a lightsaber. So she's asking me for like information for Ultrasabers, like how do you buy these things? And I'm giving her all the information. So Emery, if you guys over at Ultrasabers gets a call from an elderly woman from Chicago, Illinois, who wants to buy a lightsaber for her 20-year-old son, that's probably a sales referral from me. So anyway, I'll wrap up. Sorry for the really, really long review. I just can't sing enough of the praises of the Ultrasaber lightsabers. Some quick notes. The guys at Ultrasabers are really good. The customer service was really, really awesome. They responded to my emails and questions really very quickly. Some people would say that they have trouble getting responses to their emails. Just keep in mind, guys, that the people at Ultrasabers, they may be preparing for Comic-Cons, for cosplay conventions, and so they're probably assembling lightsabers for their booth space. So they may be at Comic-Con, so they may not get to your emails right away, but give them a chance. The guys are really good there. They're really out there. They're trying to satisfy your needs and pretty much try to fulfill what you guys want in your sabers, because that's another great thing about Ultrasabers is that there is a lot of customization, ability to customize your sabers anyway, pretty much almost any way you want. I mean, you can swap out the pommels, you can swap out the emitters if you want to change it up, change it to something different. The colors can be changed, using the Emerald driver. The sounds can be changed using the Obsidian soundboard and software. The volume can be even changed. I mean, this thing is pretty darn loud, even though the speaker looks tiny. But if you guys don't like the sound volume, you can lower it, you can change it. And then one more thing, guys. I know these things may seem pretty expensive, but the one great thing about Ultrasabers is that they run a lot of great sales every season, and the coupons. You know, you can get a lot of great discounts that you can combine. I bought this saber actually. I bought using a 15% discount coupon, which helps save a lot of bucks if you're on a budget. Plus, the guys at Ultrasabrs they run a lot of seasonal raffles, so you can actually win your own free Ultrasabrs saber. Some of the premium, and you can also win premium sabers, which include like the sound, the Obsidian soundboard, and you can win and sabers that include, of course, the Emerald driver. So they run raffles. They also, they also sometimes have the free grab bag sabers, so that if you spend more than X amount of dollars, like this saber, I also bought when they were running a grab bag. Free grab bag saber offer. So if I spent more than $400 on my saber, so they actually threw in a free grab bag saber, which in my case was a stunt saber in Guardian Blue, which also looked awesome. It didn't have sound or flash on clash, but hey, it was really nice. I'm going to actually give that saber to my friend who's always wanted his own lightsaber, so I'm going to give him that. And we'll probably go and duel a little bit too. So that's about it, guys. I think that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Again, my apologies if this review was overly long, but I just had so much I just wanted to tell you about. I mean, every day I'll say this: like, I pretty much every day play with my lightsaber, especially when I'm feeling down, especially after a long day's work. What else are you going to do except, swing your lightsaber at like your stuffed teddy bear, or no, I shouldn't say stuffed teddy bear. I actually like my teddy bear. But if your boss is giving you a hard time, just go home with you and swing your lightsaber at something that reminds you of your boss, like a plant or a garbage can or something. It's awesome. And one more time. I can't get enough of this.
Don't make me destroy you.
Now, can you imagine if you said that to your boss? I just love it. I wish I could say that to my boss. Okay, that's enough for now. Thanks a lot.